of the Bay States. And we are, of course, grateful.
It's another year and another United Nations humanitarian response plan for northeast Nigeria. Yearly responses created to mitigate the devastating impact of the now 12-year conflict in northeast Nigeria.
Your Excellency, Minister.
The United Nations reached 70% of its 2021 target of $1 billion and reached 5 million people with aid in northeast Nigeria. For 2022, the plan is to raise $1.1 billion and reach 5.5 million people with aid in northeast Nigeria.
The United Nations and its partner Nigerian and international organizations are appealing for $1.1 billion to provide urgent support to 5.5 million people in need this year. Projections for food security for this year, 2022, indicate we have another challenging year ahead.
The humanitarian response for 2022 targets 5.5 million people who will be reached through 178 projects working with 79 partners. Major sectors the intervention targets include food security, $450.89 million, nutrition, $144.29 million, water, sanitation and hygiene, $101.54 million, and education, $83.17 million. The governors of Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe states who joined virtually are grateful for the intervention, while the Humanitarian Affairs Minister calls for localized solutions to local problems.
We are focusing on local solutions to local problems. We applaud the Nigerian Humanitarian Fund for successfully allocating funds to national NGOs, and we encourage donors to increase their contributions to the fund to ensure flexible funding for rapid response to urgent needs.
While the United Nations applauds its staff and local collaborators for the impact that has been made in 2021, reaching 5 million people, there are still 8.4 million people who are still in dire need of help in the Northeast, and the $1.1 billion they hope to raise this year is supposed to meet 5.5 million of that population. From the UN House in Abuja, Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
Members of civil society organizations in Nigeria, representatives of the West African Tax Administration Forum, and officials of the federal government are here to dialogue on how to curb illicit financial flows into Africa.
Can we mute everyone online, please?
Executive Director of the Civil Society and Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, Awal Rafsanjani, notes that like many other African countries, Nigeria loses about $20 billion annually to illicit financial flows. He calls on heads of central banks in Africa to step up efforts to plug this.
Because we need to get Central Bank of Nigeria to, wake up and take responsibility to ensure that money, because these resources are not being taken, in the pocket. Is going through financial institutions. So we therefore call on all the central banks of Africa to wake up, to take drastic measures to ensure that, siphoning African money through the banks that they operate, they supervise, is stopped.
CISLAC believes Africa loses about $50 billion annually because of this loophole, and participants at this conference agree that weak financial regulatory systems and abuse of tax incentives aid the crime.
Countries with large extractive sectors like Nigeria, like Ghana, like South Africa, like Angola need to pay attention to their extractive industries, because that would be one main area in which illicit financial flows will be happening. Tax evasion. Even sometimes when we give the tax incentive, we're not checking what is the benefit to society.
There are people who advise big companies, they are accountants, and some of them are not from outside Africa. They are born and bred in Africa, and they also facilitate the repatriation illegally of revenue that are meant to develop.
Financial corruption is a big problem in Africa, and participants here are confident that the menace can be addressed with strong international collaboration.